All right. Hey, how about that one? How about that one from the Utah Hockey Club? Huh? Pretty good. Pretty good one tonight. Utah Hockey Club after the buzzer here against the Anaheim Ducks. So happy to see the Utah Hockey Club come out on top tonight. Really an important game to get tonight against the Anaheim Ducks, as we've talked about several times as we've been working on, figuring out what's going to happen with this team. But here we are, late in the season. Utah Hockey Club has a really terrific opportunity to continue to kind of accomplish what they set out to do at the beginning of the year. They wanted to get to a place where they were playing in meaningful, pressure, need to perform sort of games. And so tonight they responded really well to that situation and continued to do, really well with that whole thing. So this is After the Buzzer on Hive State Hockey here on YouTube. Welcome if you are back here once again, like my man from the Car Wash channel. Greetings if you're a return visitor. I congratulate you on your exceedingly fine taste. My name is Keith Schertz. If you haven't met me yet, if you're new here, if this is your first time checking us out, welcome. Hopefully you enjoy your stay. The Utah Hockey Club comes up big. Comes up real big. In a night where they definitely needed it, Utah came through with a really good performance from everybody, and with moments throughout the game that really, stood out as, key and important. Mikhail Sergachev had a roller coaster of a night for the Utah Hockey Club tonight. But sometimes you play well, you dominate a period, you outshoot the Ducks 17-8 in the first period. You come away with a goal, and it's because of a funky bounce. But that gets credited to Jack McBain. It goes in the back of the net. So McBain finds a way to get on the score sheet tonight and get things going. And sometimes puck luck is needed and what you have to have happen in order to find your way into the playoff hunt. From my standpoint, tonight's game, effectively, Utah did what they needed to do. Anaheim and any ambition that they had of potentially making a run to the playoffs probably was killed tonight by the Utah Hockey Club. They would have to go on an unbelievable run here. Anaheim is now eight back and 17 games left with 8 back. It's a 4-game swing. And they've got to jump over 4 teams in order to do that. So they need all 4 of those teams to be 4 games worse than they are. They're out. They're out. But Utah, they improved to 69 points on the season. Okay. And and there they are, just 2 points away from that second wild card spot. So they continue to be in the mix. Calgary has a game in hand. They've got an extra game to play on everybody. So they've only played 64 games this year. They've got 18 games left in Calgary. There are only 17 games left in the inaugural season for the Utah Hockey Club this season. So big win tonight for Utah over Anaheim. Huge, giant. These are the sort of games that they have to pick up as they go on a massive bull run down the stretch of the season. And it does not slow down. There's another game where they just need to go out and take care of business against the Seattle Kraken in Seattle. So they head out on the road now. There's a rest advantage for the Seattle Kraken. This is going to be a little bit of a tricky game. But again, the Kraken did indeed sell off many of their assets at the trade deadline. They decided to go young and play more of the youth movement. They were already out anyway, so it made a lot of sense for them. They should be a little bit easier of a hockey team to handle later in the season. So that's what's next, but let's talk about the rest of tonight's hockey game. So first period was really marked by Utah finding a way to get a goal out of nothing. Sometimes you got to get a little puck luck, and that went Jack McBain's way. The second period was a really nice effort goal by Alexander Kerfoot. Really, Kerfoot was there in the zone, and it was a really nice feed from Gunther off the half board. And then Kerfoot with a really patient finish, really put it past the blocker side of Ville Husso, and did a really nice job there, finishing that baby off. Utah also tonight, just the other thing to kind of think about is, man, they had a lot of opportunities, it felt like, to take care of business as it related to breakaway opportunities, and they didn't seem to make the most of them. Most notably was the breakaway that went the way of Barrett Hayton. So Barrett Hayton tonight had a little bit of trouble getting the finish on that breakaway, but it was a huge point of emphasis tonight for them to figure out. So be an interesting thing for them to watch through that. And then after the game was tied up in the third period, terrific pass by Trevor Zegras. Finds Mason McTavish on the power play. He rips it into the back of the net. Also, Veggie, right? That was the first goal that he gave up to Alex Killorn. It was a nice shot, but Veggie, he got his little wing out there on the left side. He got his wing out, and the puck just found his way underneath. You kind of don't like that. It got described as being a little bit of a leaky goal by Vejmelka. We haven't seen tons of those. He's been super solid, but that's one that I thought was pretty interesting to take a look at. So sort of a soft goal from Veggie. He hasn't really given up many of those, but Killorn gets the leaky goal through. That's all right. We got a puck luck goal from Jack McBain in the first. Mason McTavish scores on the power play on what was truly a bad sequence of hockey for Mikhail Sergachev. Probably amongst his worst few minutes and of the whole season, right? Sergachev had back-to-back penalties that came through. Those two penalties were one was undisciplined. They're both undisciplined. Sergachev has to expect that those things are going to kind of happen to him when he gets on the ice and when he takes a shot and shivs people to the face. That's not going to work. When he gets back on the ice, he puts his sticks in somebody's skates or their gloves. Obviously those things are going to get called. It was just really lazy, sloppy hockey from Sergachev. That being said, Sergachev also had maybe his greatest, most memorable moment of the season. Sergachev's had a great offensive season. He's had a great defensive season. He's been great, right? He's been one of the revelations of this season. He's definitely been a great. I think we've won that trade undoubtedly. I wouldn't want to take J.J. Moser and Connor Geeky back, and then whatever they're going to draft this year. I think in the second round. Tampa Bay. That's fine. We'll part with that, and we'll keep Sergachev. That's completely fine with me. The thing is that kick save by him, Veggie really got out of position there. That was almost stunning how far out of position Veggie found himself, and then he was able to squeeze his way back in and was really, really, really bailed out by Sergachev. So interesting turn of events tonight. As it related to Vejmelka, he was not particularly strong, and yet they only give up 2 goals, and that's on the strength of only giving up 21 shots on goal. So there's that. And then the last bit, of course, is Dylan Gunther. Who else, right? On the power play, he has been such a deadly, deadly weapon this season. 24 goals on the season. He probably will be a 30-goal scorer. Scoring 30 goals in year 2. Not many people get there in their first 2 years. Dylan Gunther is there. So he's well on his way, and he's likely to get to that. So anyway, Dylan Gunther with the rip off of the Sergachev feed on the power play. And that rip was just awesome, right? It's just the sort of thing that we've seen from him all season long, just taking the big and firing at the net. Near side, finds a way to put it into the back of the net. So it's pretty great. Pretty great effort put out all around. The Utah Hockey Club outshot the Ducks by a ton. Gunther tonight made history in the very first win for Utah Hockey Club over the Anaheim Ducks. Because what that was, and one of the things that we've talked about is one of the things that I think is great about hockey is that there are like 500 trophies. There's tons and tons of trophies. You got the Hart Trophy. You've got the Selke. You've got the Norris Trophy. You've got the oh no, I'm blanking on it. The Rookie of the Year one. The Conn Smythe Trophy. The Vezina Trophy, right? They have a billion trophies. So here at Hive State Hockey, one of the things that we want to do is we want to award trophies out. And I think every single time they play the Ducks and come away with a win, we want to award a trophy. And since this was the first time they beat the Anaheim Ducks, it'll be the first time we're giving out what I'm calling the Open Season Trophy. The Open Season Trophy is going to be awarded to the Utah Hockey Club player that takes the most shots on goal. Guys out there just firing buckshot, just out there spraying the net with tons of pucks, and eventually one of them was able to squeeze through. So the award goes to Dylan Gunther tonight. Eight shots on goal. That is a huge number. So 8 shots on goal tonight for Dylan Gunther. Barrett Hayton, 6 shots on goal tonight. Nick Schmaltz with 4, and Krause had 4. So, again, getting pucks to the net is going to prove to be a good thing, more or less. You know, you're going to score very frequently and put yourself in a really strong position. But congratulations to Dylan Gunther, the first ever winner of the Open Season Trophy. And there he is. Oh, look at the smile on his face. Oh, boy. He couldn't be more delighted than to be the very first recipient of the of the Open Season Trophy. And there he is with Archie, the team dog, the black lab out there grabbing. That's not actually Archie. I just found a black lab holding a stuffed animal duck. And so he was able to put one past, so he gets the bonus that inside of the cup. He gets a dog with a duck in its mouth. So, anyway, congrats tonight go out to our guy, Dylan Gunther, for the most shots on goal against the Anaheim Ducks in a win. So there you go. The winner of the inaugural Open Season Trophy. It'll be there forever. Scored the first goal for Utah Hockey Club. He also was the first recipient of the Open Season Trophy. So Dylan Gunther looking dapper in his suit there and accepting the Open Season Trophy at the NHL Awards. You can see there. So yes, congrats to him. Okay, so tonight's game I thought went about as well as you could hope. Anaheim is a pretty talented team. They were able to get those 2 consecutive goals and kind of fire back in succession. Late in the second period, they answered back to the Kerfoot goal relatively quickly. And then, obviously, early in the third period, were able to get that power play goal. Again, based on Sergachev going to the box repeatedly. So, a very, very interesting night for Mikhail Sergachev. So Sergachev took 1 goal off the board, probably responsible in a way for one of the goals being put on. You can't expect penalty killers to be out there for 4 minutes and think you're going to survive that. So that's where they are there. Also, on the goal that they scored on the power play tonight, I was really happy. If you remember way back earlier in the season, the way that Utah Hockey Club attacked on the power play, used to be bonkers. It used to be super, you know, stale. And it was like there was one idea, which was to try to sauce it, cross ice for a one timer to Dylan Gunther. And this time, all 5 players touch the puck. It goes around. Their system, the synergy they have now when they have retrievals. Sergachev is always right there. They're counting on him. They're sending that puck back to the blue line almost automatically, because they're assuming that he's going to be there, and he is frequently. And they went down low. It went to the half board on both sides of the ice. There was a lot of passing, and I wish there was like a little bit more movement. But at the end of the day, they were able to find a way to get it through. But they put the puck in a lot of different angles. They looked dangerous from a couple different spots. Schmaltz took a shot from the slot. They retrieved the puck a couple times. Again, the system that they have in place on this power play seems to be a lot more creative and less predictable. And the power play for the second half of this season has just been much, much, much improved. So it's good to see the progression there. And that's definitely one of the things that you absolutely were hoping to see from this team as they played and developed and hopefully got to a place where, they were going to be where they are right now, which is 2 points out of the playoffs, 17 games left. So, that's kind of the broad strokes of how tonight's game went. I thought that the Utah Hockey Club played a game. Anaheim is a team that they've lost to 5-4 twice. That's not a game that they've done particularly well at. For whatever reason, they've struggled a bit with the Ducks. And tonight they came out. I thought they played a relatively complete game. Veggie gave up a pretty soft one. We got a little puck luck. So there was like kind of a switcheroo on that. And then, a couple power play goals. And the difference ultimately, really, in terms of just trading punches, is the Alexander Kerfoot goal, which again was scored based on a good forechecking effort. So loved that. I also thought, obviously Josh Doan was fantastic tonight. Like, how do you not love Josh Doan? He's such a fun player, isn't he? Like, I just think that as an energy player who does things the right way, who keeps his feet moving, he gets out there, he grinds, he works, he gets an assist, and then he finds his way to draw that penalty, which led to the game-winning goal. I thought Josh Doan tonight was fabulous. I thought he put in a fantastic game-altering thing. And even if he didn't have an assist, right, in some ways, there were lots of periods of the game tonight where it seemed like he might be one of the best players. The other guy that put in a huge, hard-working game tonight was Barrett Hayton. I thought Barrett Hayton did a great job tonight. Obviously, it would have been fun had he shut the door with the breakaway late in the third, but Barrett Hayton, I thought, continued to be kind of on a tear. He's playing some really nice hockey here late this season. And that's going really well. Obviously, next year he goes into the final year of his contract. He was just signed this offseason. They gave him a 2-year, kind of prove-it deal. I think he's proven it. He's doing enough this season to indicate that he's probably a player that's going to deserve a little bit of a raise. And given how few centers Utah Hockey Club, A, has in the pipeline, and B, has on the team right now, in terms of, we're talking, really good top-end players. I don't know. I think Barrett Hayton right now is playing, top-line power play minutes. He's also playing on the second line for Utah Hockey Club. I think if he continues to grow and develop as a player, this is a player that had kind of a rough go of it. Last year, he broke his hand. He missed a lot of the season because of that broken hand. He is a player that had his development stunted a little bit because of COVID. He COVID came at like the worst time for a player who was trying to develop, and that hurt him. And then he had another set of injuries, and then he broke his hand last season. So he's had kind of a rough go of it. This has been like his first like full on complete season, and I think he's playing pretty well. He's kind of coming into his own, and that's a great thing to see. I'm really happy for him. So, thought Barrett Hayton was great tonight. 6 shots on goal for Hayes. Really, really, really good stuff from Barrett Hayton. So, not a lot to kind of hit on. There's one other. I'm a little confused about one thing. But one thing I'm a little confused about is how they're managing and handling Matias Maccelli. Now, I'm not confused, but I'm also very confused. Here's why. I'm not confused because all season I said, Maccelli, if you've been here with us, like our guy Car Wash or Scott, who's been around, if you have been here hanging out with us, you have heard me talk about Matias Maccelli probably more than any other player. And the issue with Matias Maccelli is that he is not a good enough scoring threat to really be on the second or first line for the Utah Hockey Club. He's not a top 6 forward. Not on this team. At left wing, you would either need to get rid of Nick Schmaltz or get rid of Dylan Guenther. You're not going to do either of those things. So, in favor of Matias Maccelli. And the team has been playing a lot better by having a third line that could be a matchup problem for the other teams, because I have to tell you, it does not look like a whole lot of fun playing against Josh Doan and Jack McBain and Lawson Krause. That does not look fun. And then the question is can you play him in those energy minutes on the fourth line? And would you play him instead of, Tuna and Stenlin and Kerfoot? No, right? So maybe instead of Liam O'Brien, you could put in Matias Maccelli. But again, if you put Maccelli out there and he's going to be out there with Kevin Stenlin or Alexander Kerfoot, a couple of grinders, what the heck are you needing great saucer passes from Maccelli with no defense and no checking? His skill set is to be a top 6 player, but there just is not a fit for him here. So him not playing makes sense because there's just, he either needs to be, his the sweet spot for him is to be on the second unit of a power play. That is kind of the magic of Matias Maccelli, is when he's on the second unit of a power play. However, that is not enough of a reason to be playing somebody. He doesn't make sense as a guy that's going to play 7 to 10 minutes on the fourth line and just try to give you a bunch of energy and maybe, give the other team a couple bruises. You're not looking for playmaking and scoring from that fourth line. The third line now with Krause and McBain and Doan, that is such a matchup issue for other teams that what's supposed to happen, right? You can throw that group and put them against the other team's, top attackers, and they're going to have to deal with the pretty heavy back check or a dump into the zone, and they got to go back in there and try to get the puck back and deal with some of the forechecking of Josh Doan and Jack McBain. That's no fun at all. When Lawson Krause is the least truculent of the players on the line, that is a pretty nasty line to deal with. And again, you have to play Maccelli left wing. Have to. He has not really been an off-wing player. You can't play him on the right side. And again, if you wanted to play him on the right side, you would need to consider taking out people who are producing at a better level, who are playing better hockey. So if you put him in there and you do it in favor of Michelli over Gunther, like, well, of course not. That's silly. You're not going to do it over Schmaltz. That's also quite silly. So, like, it's a tough one, man. This is a player that probably could have been or maybe should have been dealt at the deadline. You could have potentially gotten something that fits a little better with the rest of the things, but maybe, the hope is that the one thing, if Matias Michelli can figure out how to put the puck in the back of the net, then of course, then that thing starts to make a whole lot more sense. A whole lot more sense. But the fact of the matter is that they're just not looking. They're not looking right now for a good spot for Michelli. Now, so that's where it all makes sense. Here's where it doesn't make sense to me. If the entire point of the season before the season began was to try to create an arrangement where your young players who could be really good, stars, part of your next Stanley Cup winning team, the first ever Stanley Cup winning team comes to Utah, it'll be because Logan Cooley really, really develops. And Dylan Gunther, the Gretzky of Zion, finds his way into being one of the best goal scorers in the history of the NHL. If those things come together and you get sort of like your Utah's version of Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane, then you're going to need other pieces to help with some of the depth. And so you needed to find out what's the deal with Barrett Hayton. And we're finding that out. There's been good things that we're discovering about Barrett Hayton through all of these things. The question of, do Schmaltz and Keller fit the timeline? Sort of, yeah. I mean, we're talking about a 20 and 21-year-old kid. By the time they hit their prime, we're 5-6 years away from that. Now Keller is past his prime. He's in his prime now. So I know Keller's, young, but usually in hockey, by the time you're 29, 30, it's 30 when it starts to kind of turn around and go the other way on you. So the question is Michelli is 22, right? It's Michelli is one of those players that could, in theory, be a player that develops into one of the core pieces. Michael Carcone is not. Jack McBain is. Right? He is one of these players that is a play for the future. Josh Doan is a player for the future. But Lawson Krause probably isn't. Right? Michael Carcone is not. So as you take a look at all of that and you kind of see where they're spending their time, their energy on these guys, obviously the fourth liners, Stenlin and Kerfoot, they're special team guys. That makes sense. But and you can find guys, they'll continue to have to just find guys like that as, things ratchet up. But the question of why isn't Matias Michelli playing right now? And the answer is they're a better team when he's not playing. I wish it was a more complex answer, but the reason Matias Michelli, despite all the talent, when you watch his highlight reels, and if you do, most of the highlights are from when he was in Arizona. He hasn't done that many things that have been really remarkable here in Utah. If you watch Michelli, you will see some really great stuff as that transpires. He has put things on tape that look really great. The issue here is if he is a player that you have hopes for in the future, And if the point of this season was to be in meaningful games late in the year and to give your young players the experience of playing crunch time hockey where you gotta have the game, where the energy, the physicality, the meaningfulness all ratcheted up. They're in those games. Objective completed. They found their way into playing these meaningful, intense games. And one of the young guys that you could potentially see in the group long term is being a healthy scratch. Because we got to get minutes from other guys, because the team's better when he's not on the ice. I get it. They're better when he's not on the team. I don't get it, because if the point is to not worry about this season, but to worry about the season in 3 years, then maybe this is a time that he needs to grow. And of course, is there the ability to grow and to develop when you sit on the bench, when you're scratched, when you're only practicing? Yeah, hopefully. If Michelli isn't getting better right now, that's a problem, right? Hopefully he's becoming a better hockey player. But anyway, the objective was to get meaningful games in for your young guys to grow. You're playing those meaningful games. Most of your young guys are in and playing and growing, except for Matias Michelli. So that's fine in one sense, because I want them to make the playoffs, and it's fun to see that they're 2 points away. I'm completely fine with all of those things. But it is interesting to me that here they are, and they're not putting themselves in a position to continue to build Matias Michelli. And maybe that speaks to what they see from the young Finnish winger. Okay. Next game for Utah Hockey Club will be against the Seattle Kraken. That is another gigantic game. Begins a 3-game road trip, and let me just pull up real quick. It's Seattle that they're going to be playing. Let me see here. Just give me 1 second, and I will be able to so beautifully indicate here. Yes. Okay. So they've got the Seattle Kraken on Friday, and then they play Vancouver. And oh man, is that a huge game. On Sunday, they'll be taking on the Vancouver Canucks, which will be a really fun game. I'm really looking forward to how that one will turn out. 6 p.m. on Sunday, they play the Vancouver Canucks. On Tuesday, they then follow that up with a game against Edmonton. So they've got 3 road games every other day coming up starting on Friday. So, today started that little stretch here, every other day schedule for the next little bit. And Seattle's a game that it's the game they got to get. I don't know what's going to happen at Vancouver, and the game at Edmonton, of course, when you're dealing with Draisaitl and McDavid and Nugent Hopkins and Bouchard and all the stuff that they have. That's obviously a tough game. So that new 3-game stretch that they're going to deal with, that is going to be huge. And then the other part that I wanted to just bring up just quickly, and I saw what you had said there, Car Wash. Thanks for the little update. But tonight, next national broadcast, Utah versus Oilers on Tuesday. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for that update. Yeah, that's on national TV, huh? ESPN. Okay, that'll be fun. I would say that they've got... Tonight's result between Calgary and Vancouver was probably not the worst result from that game, but close to it. Because here they are chasing both Calgary and Vancouver, and on a night that they win, both Calgary and Vancouver picked up points. So instead of only 2 points being awarded to one of those two teams they're chasing, it turns out that 3 points were awarded to those two teams collectively. So the fact that it went into overtime was probably the worst result for Utah. I think it was a little bit better that Vancouver beat Calgary, so it wasn't the worst result. It wasn't as bad as it possibly could have been. That being said, it's not a great result that both teams picked up points tonight. So again, that speaks volumes to how important it was to pick up the game-winning goal tonight by Dylan Guenther and find their way through it. So there we go. That's it. Dylan Guenther, again, congratulations on the open season trophy. The first ever winner of the open season trophy. Look at that, a big smile. Oh, man, he loves it. He loves it. That is it. I think that's where we are tonight. I think that's the things that we wanted to cover and take a look at. And again, it'll be really interesting to see over the next, 6 days, starting Friday, I guess the 5 days on Friday. They got 3 games in 5 days. It'll be interesting to see if they work Vejmelka the entire time. We'll be on the lookout for that. I kind of have a feeling they might be putting in Jackson Stauber against the Seattle Kraken. I don't know. That game to me looms larger because you have to come away with points on it. You're definitely playing Veggie against the Vancouver Canucks. So, I'll bet my life that Veggie's going to be the goalie, barring an injury. He's going to be the goalie against Vancouver. The Seattle game may be a Jackson Stauber game because Veggie has to rest at some point. I mean, he's a great athlete, but we saw a couple... we saw that leaky goal tonight. Maybe he needs a little bit of rest. So that's where they are. Next 3 games coming up, all on the road, should be really important for Utah Hockey Club. They've been a good, strong road team this season. So hopefully what we're going to see is that will continue to be the case, and we'll see if Utah can keep it running. They do. They need to stack up lots of points. They... will, assuming worst case scenarios, if Calgary has a game in hand, they could potentially be 4 points ahead after both teams playing 65. And so, 65. So they could be a place where they're 4 points back in reality, because Calgary right now is 2 points ahead, but they've got another game to play. They've only played 64. Utah's played 65. So let's just assume Calgary's up 4. If they're up 4 points at this point, and maybe they won't be, maybe Calgary will go out and choke against Colorado. Avalanche could really do Utah Hockey Club a big favor if they could put away Calgary here. And by the way, that definitely could happen for sure. But let's just assume that if Calgary does win, they got to make up 4 points, and so that just means that if you've got to gather 4 extra points over the last 17 games of the season, you're gonna have to find a way. And again, the other math the way that I keep thinking about it is, in order to make the playoffs in the Western Conference, historically looking past just the last 5 years, over the last 5 years, the lowest amount of points required to make the playoffs in the Western Conference has been 91 points. 91 points is what you need in order to get there. So here are the Utah Hockey Club. They're sitting at 69 points. That means they need 22 points from 17 games. Not impossible. Not impossible. The longest win streak they've had this season is a 4-game win streak. I think Utah's going to need to put together like a 5 or 6 game win streak if they're going to find a way to sneak into that wild card. So they need to play the best hockey of the season, and we'll see. We will see, but they got to take care of business against Seattle, and then on Sunday we will be amped and ready for that gigantic game against the Vancouver Canucks. So we'll be here after the buzzer. Once again, my name is Keith Shirts. I appreciate you hanging out with me tonight. If you've enjoyed that, give the little thumbs up on the stream. Tell your friends about the stream. We love to talk hockey and hang out with new people as well, but also just love seeing familiar faces here as well. So that is it for tonight's stream. I hope that each of you have a terrific night's sleep. Take it easy out there, and we'll see you real soon.